Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Finally, the blonde joke to end all blonde jokes. And listen very carefully. A blonde woman was speeding down the road in her little red sports car and was pulled over by a woman police officer who was also a blonde. The blonde cop asked to see the blonde driver's license. She dug through her purse and was getting progressively more agitated. "What does it look like?" she finally asked. The policewoman replied, "It's square, and it has your picture on it." The driver finally found a square mirror in her purse, looked at it, and handed it to the policewoman. "Here it is," she said. The blonde officer looked at the mirror, then handed it back, saying, "Okay, you can go. I didn't realize you were a cop." Oh, good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot. I can hear Gina giggling with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Oh, my goodness sakes, good morning, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Really, really nice people, and all 7 great locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, let's not forget, Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, my cohort in crime, running the board over at the main studio, Gina Jameson.
I do not have a mirror, and nor am I blonde. But that was funny.
I wonder how many people got it.
Maybe I might be stepping in it, but for those who aren't blonde, they got it.
Okay, all right. How are you doing? I can barely hear you this morning.
Really? Do I need to turn myself up a little bit?
Yeah, just turn yourself up a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
I'm actually not doing too bad. Of course, prepping for a busy day at the fair.
And the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo in full swing.
Woo-hoo.
And thank you, Gina, for everything you do. Do we have a Pledge of Allegiance person?
We have Rotten on for the pledge and Michael on for the weather.
Very well done. Rotten, good morning in the pledge, please.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, my dear friend, and to you and your wife, have a wonderful day, okay?
We will.
All right, sir. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to scoot over to our weather forecast. If I don't give this guy a call and talk to him, he's going to really be upset with me. But I want to talk to you about Rock Creek Growers real quick, bringing you MichaelRogersWeather.com. Oh, my, they've got patio pavers. They've got all the wall blocks. They've got everything. They've got the pots over there. Don't forget, they got a great special through the end of the month of August where you can get 50% off on all the ceramic pots, various colors, sizes, shapes, and textures. All of this and much, much more. All your trees, shrubs, everything at Rock Creek Growers, a beautiful place on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Here now, MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Good morning, everybody. You know what's so great about the Pacific Northwest? It smells so green. It's just like a great, big, beautiful greenhouse. What does that have to do with weather in the Magic Valley? Not a lot. I just thought I'd share that with you. It's going to be another hot day today for a high of about 96, overnight low about 60. Going to get hot tomorrow, 99 for the high, 97 for the day after tomorrow. So, enjoy the weather in southwest Idaho. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. MichaelRogersWeather.com, the best weatherman in the universe. Thank you to Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly, 423-6800. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your calls to come on in this morning, I got a whole bunch of things to talk about here this morning, some of which are going to really, I think and I hope, knowing the caliber of listeners that I have in my audience, are going to really upset you, and you're going to be wanting to do something, okay? Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they can clean anything. Get the stains out, make you look brand spanking new, all your clothes. I mean, they do a great job with my rumply crumplies. Think what they can do for yours at Darrow's Cleaners. And I got a whole bunch to take in there, I'll tell you. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today at Darrow's Cleaners in Burley. I know some other people that I'm very high on, and we've had their services now, I think, for about 4 or 5 years, and that's SafeLink Internet. Boy, oh boy, they have done a tremendous job for us, and they've got a all-new SafeLink right now. Now is the time to sign up for SafeLink high-speed wireless Internet. No contracts required, and no credit checks, new high-speed Internet packages with no data limits, and free professional installation, and I mean professional. These people really care. Give them a call today at 677-8000. 677-8000. Talk to Shane and the crew at SafeLink Wireless High-Speed Internet, serving you. Okay, let's get a rundown quickly as to what we're going to do here the rest of the day. At 9 o'clock this morning, I have some wonderful ladies coming in that are on behalf of the Cassia County School Plant Levy, and they're going to be discussing it and answering your questions. And then at 10:06, Dr. History, and then at 10:32, you don't want to miss this. She's been on my program many times in the past. Her name is Diana West, and she's got a brand new book out, American Betrayal. And I think it's going to be excellent to talk to her, so don't miss that coming up later this morning at 10:30. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244. Let's not forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And as I say that, I'm trying to find my copy for Ramsey Heating and Electric, and it's gone. Deanne, did you take my copy for Ramsey Heating and Electric? I can't find it. And don't forget, they are at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I'm doing this all out of my memory. They've got all your electrical needs, everything you need at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see them today. Now, your lighting needs, your electrical needs, everything, over 57 years in business, and of course always serving you with the best. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Really nice people. California governor, and boy, this is a subject that yours truly is just irate about, and you should be too. California Governor Jerry Brown signed yesterday into basically a law, and this is so sick and perverted, maybe it might not be a bad idea to take some of the small kids and hustle them off into another room so they can play and make noise and not hear the radio. This is so sick and perverted, and it states that transgenders, grades K through 12, kids, can use any or whatever restroom or locker room they feel comfortable in. This is completely nuts. And I'm going to start explaining why this is completely nuts, and possibly will go on a nationwide basis. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Your blonde joke may refer to the Burley City Council and the Cassia County Commissioners.
Well, I wasn't making a reference to any one particular group and or person, but I'm going to tell you something that the people right now that deserve better are the residents of both the county and the city on a mess that should have never taken place, never been allowed to go this long, and I don't care if they get mad at me or not. There is no reason why they had to wait till the 11th hour when Cinderella almost turns into a pumpkin before they started addressing this issue.
They're acting like a bunch of 5-year-olds.
If that.
And one more little thing. Term limits.
I'm not going to
take effect in Cassia County right today.
I'm not opposed, Bob, to term limits anymore. I'll tell you what, after what I'm seeing on a national level, I'm becoming an advocate of it. Thank you very much. I'm not going to argue that point. Calls welcome, and I want to get into this story because it's very serious, and it could be coming here. So we want to talk about this. Valley-wide Home and Ranch, they've got all your feed needs for your livestock. The fishing section is all ready. Check out the reels, rods, fishing lures, hunting and camping equipment, everything. And they got a special offer going on right now. Buy one pair of ladies' or children's boots and get another pair for half off. Now, whoa, you can't beat a deal like that. We're at Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Please stop in and see my friends. They've got everything over there you need for the farm, the ranch, the family, always there at Valley-wide Home and Ranch in Rupert. All right, here's the deal. California Governor Jerry Brown is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest losers that ever got into politics. And this story was posted on a couple of sources. I've got some stories that were written in Sacramento by the Sacramento Bee newspaper, and then also by the Daily Caller. I'm going to start with the Daily Caller first and let you know the information on this. Parents, you need to be advised of this, because right now this represents no more dignity in our society, no more morality in our society, and no more respect in our society. Those are my words, nobody else's. Transgendered students in California will now have the right to use whichever bathrooms they prefer and join, listen to this now, join either the boys or the girls' sports teams. Now, the law amends the state education code and stipulates that each student will have access to facilities, sports teams, and programs that are consistent with his or her gender identity rather than the student's actual biological composition. This is so perverted. If we're not going to hell in a handbasket, I'd like to know who's carrying the bag right now. This is terrible. A male student who identifies himself as a female could therefore use the girls' bathroom even if he is anatomically a male. Perverted, sick, you are right. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. As a former Californian, you have to understand where this idea came from. And I think we all know what I'm referring to. The one who brought this thing about has questionable character.
I'm going to tell you who introduced the bill. The bill was introduced by Democratic Assemblyman Tom Amiano, who said, quote, "It will make school life easier for transgendered kids." I don't care if it makes school easier for them. I'm worried about the hardship, the sorrow, the mental anguish, the lack of dignity, morality, and respect for families of normal Christian children that are being basically segregated and told that they have to accept this immorality. Tony, it's perverted and it's sick.
Well, Jerry Brown could have put a stop to this whole thing, but he wouldn't.
I agree.
That's right in line with his thinking.
Well, I know your feelings on it and you're against it, but you know something? This is just one more nail in the coffin for dignity and decency in the United States of America, and it's pathetic. That's all I can say. It's absolutely pathetic.
I know, but we don't have enough people. This is a dangerous time of the year, football season. This is where more damage is going to be done to this country because people are more interested in football than they are with crushing this country.
Well, as a matter of fact, you're right. There's more concerns about recreation and having a good time than there is raising a family and trying to keep this nation on the straight and narrow. I agree with you, Tony. God bless you, man. Thanks so much. Thank you. I absolutely am appalled at this, and I guarantee you this. If I had children in school right now, and that part of this lifestyle, the transgendered students' rights bill, was imposed in a school where my children were going to school, I would jerk them out of that school in a heartbeat. They would not go to that school. They would be in home-schooled education. I am never going to abide by this. I think it's absolutely sick and perverted. And one of the quotes that was made for this Assemblyman Tom Amiano that introduced this bill and then Governor Brown signs it into law said, quote, "Clearly, there are some parents who are not going to like this." Do you think, Gomer? Clearly, there should be parents up in arms about this. Clearly, there are people that should be outraged. Clearly, there are people that should be saying, wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me that a sick, perverted transgender that doesn't know who or he or who or she, whatever they are, can join the opposite school's volleyball, basketball, or whatever team, use the locker rooms, dress in the locker rooms the same as the others? Are you kidding me? Have we got to that kind of a perverted nation? That's what it's coming to. That's what it's coming to. It says right here, a male student who identifies as a female could therefore use the girls' bathroom and or join the girls' sports teams, or vice versa. Vice versa. What are your thoughts? Parents out there in the audience, this could happen here. This could be forced and coerced right here in Magic Valley, or for that matter, across the United States. Does this not bother you? Or have we accepted absolutely insane pervertedness in our society? Call me. I mean, if the phones don't ring, then that's a sign of your acceptance. Basically, that's the truth. If you don't have an opinion on this, and you sit back and say nothing, do nothing, act nothing, then you're accepting this kind of absolute filth into our society. Am I the only one that's going to stand up and say this is absolute sicko personified? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. JB's 136 East 5th North in Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and our next lunch bunch is going to be on the 29th. Don't forget that. And Daniel and the rest of the staff, so nice and so caring, and they do a great job. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, it's fantastic. And we have been very, very well treated down there at JB's, and we thank them so much for what they do. And you'll love the food. I mean, that breakfast buffet, absolutely phenomenal. The luncheon specials, everything is delicious. You're going to love JB's in Burley, 136 East 5th North. You stop in and see them today. Again, calls are welcome, and I'm just shocked that more people aren't outraged about this. I'm just shocked that parents wouldn't object to having some great big boy, transgendered boy, going in and using the locker room, using the bathroom with their daughters. How perverted is this? I want to say thank you very much to the Box Elder County Fair and Golden Spike Rodeo. I just got off the phone with Brent Rose this morning, as a matter of fact, with the theme down there for next week's Fair and Rodeo, Blue Jeans and Country Dreams. There it is. And their big event's going to be August 19th through the 24th. Jan Rhodes, president of the board of directors, and they're going to have all kinds of great fun down there. Team branding, kids calf scrambles on Tuesday next week, Bulls, Broncs, and Barrels next Wednesday, and then, of course, the great big Golden Spike Rodeo starts on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at, of course, the Box Elder County Fair and Golden Spike Rodeo. It's going to be ripping good. Blue Jeans and Country Dreams down in Tremont. And come on down. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hi. I am just so disgusted with our country. I think that we could all move out and we'd never be missed if we've got some kind of morals.
Chris, why aren't more people upset about this? I mean, here we are, we're talking about a subject that could very easily very easily because of the gay, lesbian, and transgendered associations across the country start pushing and promoting this to come into the Idaho schools, and we sit back and say and do nothing.
Well, I think that we're so amazed that this kind of thing can even be talked about in Idaho, because we've kind of always thought of ourselves as being a little bit behind the times and maybe not into all of the latest fads. But I have a little 5-year-old granddaughter, about to be 5-year-old, and you have little grandkids, and to think that, you know what, isn't your youth supposed to be carefree, not thinking about the problems of the world? You're not supposed to be worrying about, you know, your sex and things like that. Isn't this just mind-boggling, and it's weighing our kids down because it's not fair to them.
It's not only not fair to the kids,
our country either.
It's not fair to the morality, the dignity, and respect of our nation. And there was a quote made. There was a quote made by this Amiano that introduced this bill, and I'm going to read this real quick. He said, "The governor's signature represents an important victory, not just for my bill, but for a whole movement for the rights of transgender people. What about the rights of you, Chris, myself, Zeb, our grandkids, our families, everybody else to live a moral life when they start promoting this pervertedness in the schools?"
Well, the thing about it is, I don't know how you determine somebody is transgendered without surgery or something. But anyway, I really do think that we're taking somebody's word for the fact that they have these interesting sexual desires.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that that's fair to the people who are normal and to the people who are kind of trying to live by God's law.
One student can create such a perverted attitude in the entire school and disrupt the entire school, whether it's in the girls' locker room, whether it's in the boys' bathroom, it doesn't make any difference. One person can turn morality and respect and dignity upside down through this perverted attitude.
Well, and then the next thing you're going to have is cameras into all of the restrooms in the schools and in the public, and who's going to be watching those?
Oh my gosh, some other sicko. Chris, I got to pay some bills here real quick. Bottom of the hour, hard break. God bless you for your call. Thank you very much.
Well, you got my dander up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And caller number 2, I know you're there. Please bear with me just about 90 seconds. I'll be right with you. Please don't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, Travelube Supply, 1050 West, 203 south of Hayburn at Jim McCall's Farm, 438-8730. Travelube, cleaning house and getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff to your advantage. Save you money. And they also got the bubble ropes. They've got duct tape. They've got oil and air filters. They've got everything you need right there at Travelube Supply. All your oils, all your tools, everything at Travelube Supply. Jim McCall and the crew, 438-8730. It's time now quickly for the Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main and Burley Ag Minute. We'll be right back right after this good word.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
A federal judge has ruled that the constitutional prohibition against unreasonable searches doesn't apply to U.S. Labor Department investigators who want to enter farm fields. Chief U.S. District Court Judge Rosanna Muloz-Peterson has ruled that under the open fields doctrine, agency investigators don't need warrants to interview farm workers while they harvest fruit. However, she ruled that packing sheds and other structures on commercial farms are protected under the Fourth Amendment, and investigators would need a warrant to enter them. The ruling springs from a dispute between the U.S. Labor Department and Blue Mountain Farms of Burbank, Washington, over the scope of worker interviews. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
Absolutely. Don't forget Pacific Steel and Recycling, paying top dollar for scrap iron, tin cars, autos, stainless steel, aluminum, copper, and so much more. And their people really are so helpful. Please give them a call today, 678-2321. Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. While perusing my daily copy of the Internet News, I see that we, the people, haven't got enough money to go around, except we have enough money to fly on Air Force One or Air Force Two, the first dog to the family vacation, because he couldn't travel with them.
Absolutely.
And he didn't want to stay home in the White House.
Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me, of all people that I've known for almost, I don't know how many years, that you are a dog hater, that you would absolutely stand up and say something against the first White House dog as far as having his own jet service, his own handlers, his own checkbook that spends American money to the tune of millions just to make sure that he can be reassociated and reunited with the first family? What kind of a person are you?
Well, when our military and our veterans cannot be paid and taken care of, and we have a senseless, absolute thumbing their nose at the public president who goes out and spends money like it was nobody's business, there needs to be a change.
Let me tell you something. I talked about this yesterday, if you were listening. Over 500,000 vets are standing in line, not able to get their benefits because the money's either not there or the paperwork's such a boondoggled mess. And this man goes to Africa and spends millions and millions and millions of dollars that would have absolutely been redistributed possibly to get these vets out of the line and take care of them. I am so incensed against Obama. I can't stand the man. I can't stand his ideology. And it's about time America stood up on its hind legs and said enough is enough.
Well, you know, this is true, and it's surprising that how many things that are going on like this. And yes, his approval rating is dropping because it's down into the low 40s now. But I guess more people have to be affected until his approval rating goes to zero, and we, the people, stand up and do something about it.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something else real quick. And caller number 2 that's on the air waiting, stand by. I'm going to come right to you. You know, yesterday, another gentleman stuck his big foot in his mouth and lowered himself even, he didn't have far to go to the basement, Senator Harry Reid, as he was trying to associate some of the Republicans and others not wanting to work with Obama on Obamacare, etc. He tried to inject the race card and said they probably don't want to work with him because he's African American. You know, I'm offended by this. I don't want to work with this guy. I don't want to accept his policies because his ideology is so idiotic and anti-American. It has nothing to do with the color of his skin.
I could not agree more, and to bring the race card into it is just to demean the whole issue.
Absolutely. But that's what they do. That's exactly what the liberal left wants to do, is always inject the race issue. It's not race at all. It's Obamacare is going to break the bank as far as health care is concerned in this country. It's going to ruin the care that's given to our seniors and provided for our seniors that they have paid for. It's going to hurt young families. But yet the minute we say anything in criticism, oh, we're racist, we're against him because he's black. Well, he's not black. He's a mulatto.
Yeah, and you know what? If I were black and people were comparing me to him, I would be upset too.
Amen. Caller, you really pushed the buttons this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Caller number 2, you're on the air.
Good morning. You know, it seems to me, number one, we have thrown over all of our moral traces, so we have no guide. And so the majority, it doesn't matter. We're trying to pay so much attention to so many interests, and sometimes it's a good idea to. There are times when it's morally right to do so.
Linda,
but we have just thrown over, and we do all the traces, and we don't care whether it's moral or not. We're paying attention to individual interests and those who are moral, and the majority suffer.
Linda, you know, and don't be offended when I say this, because you're one of my dearest friends. But you know whose fault this is, that this is even being thought of or happening or coming to power in any state? It's our fault. It's your fault and my fault for not standing up and saying, wait a minute, this is sick and perverted and we're not going to allow it in our society. I will never ever capitulate to these people on this program. I don't like them. I don't like their ideology. I don't want anything to do with this kind of filth that's going on in our society.
Well, we've decided that anything is right and anything goes, and now we're going to be in trouble until we straighten it out.
Amen.
And then the other thing is, I'm disgusted with Congress for exempting itself from Obamacare. They weren't supposed to do that.
You know,
and I think we need to let them know what we think.
Yeah, oh boy, you're not kidding. I guarantee you that I've already made my calls to each one of our 4 national people, but I am so upset that they play by a different standard. They play by a different rule, and then they come home and talk to us, the little people. It tees me off.
Yep. That's exactly right. And then, you know, it's not about race. What the liberals are doing is sending people on a guilt trip.
Well said. That is very well said. They're trying to create a guilt trip. Linda, well stated and well said this morning. God bless you for your call.
God bless you.
Thank you. There's a very nice lady and very good singer. You know, folks, I'm being honest. Why in the world beat around the bush? You know what? The gay, lesbian, and transgender movement in this country is sick. It's perverted. It's absolutely sinful. No dignity, no morality, no respect. And you think I'm going to be halfway decent and amenable to any of those subjects? Guess again. You tuned into the wrong program. This coming into the schools, saying that boys can play on girls' teams and use girls' locker rooms, or vice versa, girls that just don't know who or what they are can play on the boys' teams and use the boys' locker rooms. No. Pull the kids out of school, cancel the programs, show some power, and tell the schools, especially starting in California, you are sick. Calls welcome, 436-2244. If you hear a plane going over at a very low altitude and high speed, there is. He's going over and literally crop dusting on the sugar beets right now. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Harris Plumbing NG. For all your plumbing service needs, one call does it all. 431-8633. 431-8633. Drips, leaks, clogs, main water line repair, water heaters, softeners. 24/7 service. You call them, they're there. They're serving you, very conscientious, very polite, and they know their business. Harris Plumbing NG, 431-8633. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Also want to remind you about some really good friends of ours, and that's, of course, Quali's in Twin Falls, Quali's Electronics. They can handle the dish and the DirecTV. They know all about it. They know what's best for you. Don't let anybody come up to your door and say, well, we can do this, we can do that, we'll save you money. No, door-to-door salespeople, no, not going to work. They are charlatans. Don't forget to get a hold of the real professionals. Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, 733-4910. They'll explore all the options, find the best option for you, whether it's dish or DirecTV, and save you money. Please contact Quali's Electronics today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, Zeb, you know, the people of California had a class action suit. I mean, you know, I think if you have a daughter that is in school and then you have some person that goes into their, he's a male, and he's in their showers, in their bathrooms, you know, this kind of thing is something that is easily brought to suit.
Why don't more people fight it, Randy? It's coming here. There are groups and associations and members to that sick pervertedness right here in this area. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be long, and they're going to make approaches to the schools. They're going to make approaches to have their own restrooms. They can't figure out which door to go in. Randy, why aren't more of us just absolutely standing up and saying enough is enough? This is sinful. It's disgraceful. No dignity, no respect. I've had it. I'm not going to sit here and take it anymore.
Well, according to you, according to these people, you and I are definitely Neanderthal men, and we don't get it. But my point was this. Even if they did bring the suit and there's a circuit court judge who says, just like Proposition 8 in California was thrown out, and that was the people that was voted on. And you see, it's just like they no matter where we turn, we have no options anymore, like the Supreme Court. I mean, it's already because of Roberts. Think about it. And the people just are literally losing heart. They're losing the will to fight. And just like when I said a while back, I asked the people of California, because I ran into quite a few of them at an event, and I said, does anybody down there have any brains whatsoever? And I was ready to get into a debate, an argument, whatever, and they all agreed, no, they don't. And I said, why don't you do something? And they just, I can't remember what their reasons were, but none of them had the will to get up and fight it. And I'm telling you, people say, well, it doesn't do any good. And there's the patriotic, spiritual few that seem to be willing to fight on, but we got to have more people.
Amen. Amen, Randy. I'm with you, but we've got to stand up and we've got to say enough of this filth. And that's what it is. And I don't care if anybody out in the audience is offended. It's filth and no morality. Thank you for your call.
Bye.
Appreciate it. I never heard of anything so stupid in my whole life. Oh, gee, I don't know what I am or who I am. Gee, today I think I'll use the boys' bathroom. Tomorrow, maybe the girls. I just am in such a quandary. What a God does not make mistakes. God does not make mistakes. And these people, these absolute filthy, slovenly people that are utilizing and making now a mockery of our laws, a mockery of our court system, stand up, people, for heaven's sakes. Fight back. The idiocy of this statement that says the law amends the state's education code and stipulates that each student will have access to facilities, sports teams, and programs that are consistent with his or her gender identity rather than the student's actual biological composition. What? This is idiocy. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's have, so I can get my blood pressure a little lower, a little weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Tuesday, the 13th of August. Any change in the weather from the same weather pattern we've had now for about the last 2 weeks. Another day of sunny and hot, possibly a slight chance of a thunderstorm. We'll see a few clouds. It's going to travel out today to a high of about 96. Going to get hotter tomorrow. Look for 99 for the high. The overnight low tonight will be right around 60. Enjoy the day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is right on now. I mean, it's going on. It's a happening. And a lot of the merchants in the area say, come on by to the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo, like Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West Highway 27 in Paul, and a new location on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. Butte Irrigation is a major hub for all the irrigation parts and equipment. They've been serving farmers since 1975. They will get you wet at Butte Irrigation. Also, our thanks to Burley Veterinary Hospital and Doctors Wally Ward and Scott Morley, working on small and large animals. They're committed to offering veterinary medical diagnostics and treatment in a caring and compassionate atmosphere. 2869 Overland and Burley, 678-5509. Burley Veterinary Hospital. And last but not least, the Book Plaza at 222 West 11th Street in Burley, 678-2505, with our dear friend Colonel Dale and the rest of the crew. New and used books, gifts for all occasions, great gifts for Mom, and also the home of the National Pioneer Hall of Fame. Yes, the Book Plaza in Burley. And don't forget the great big Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo tonight. Tonight, the Aaron Tippin concert. If you have not got your tickets, do so. Yell, scream, and holler. Call the fair office. Go down there in person. Get your tickets. And don't forget to attend the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Sow it, grow it, and show it at the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Tonight, the big Aaron Tippin concert. And, of course, all the activities going on for the rest of the week. The fair is in full swing. Your Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am not going to leave this subject alone. I'm going to fight it and stand up to it and absolutely rebuke it anytime I get the chance, because it is completely filthy and a great nemesis, a negative nemesis against our society. You know, I was talking a little bit ago about Harry Reid he should be ashamed. This man should be absolutely ashamed, and so should his Democratic colleagues. When he made yesterday a stupid, frivolous, race-baited statement that after 5 years of having Barack Obama as president, those that don't like Obama's policies probably don't like him because he's African American. When I heard that, I wanted to punch the television set. I don't like the man because of his policies. I don't like the man because of his ideology. It has nothing to do with the color of his skin. Nothing. I don't have to keep repeating that. I've said it 1,000 times. But you know, why does this pathetic Democrat stir race into the fray with his soft, little effeminate voice? Harry Reid is disgusting. Harry Reid is pathetic. And Harry Reid should be ashamed, as should the rest of the Democratic Party, for his stupid, insane remarks yesterday. That was racist from the get-go. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You want to play the race card a little bit? Do you want to play the race card a little bit? Well, it's getting worse every day. Racism in America is getting worse every day. Let me give you a little example here as to what happened just in the last couple of days. A 14-year-old black punk. I'm going to be honest, I don't mince words. 14-year-old black punk is standing in town, in the center of town, in his area, at 3 a.m. in the morning. Caller, I'll be there in a minute. He's out in the streets and he's shooting at people. Police confront this 14-year-old black punk, and the black punk points his gun at police, and they take him down. He's dead. And now the family says the police are at fault because the police are killing their babies. This 14-year-old black punk should have been at home, in bed, at 3 a.m. in the morning, with parental supervision. I'm fed up with this. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I would like to bounce back to Harry Reid. He's supposedly LDS. If he is, I would like to be in the corner, unseen, when he faces the Lord and says, "Oh, look what I did for our country."
Harry Reid has been nothing more than a despot and a demagogue. I don't like the man. I don't like anything to do with his politics, and I'm fed up with him.
You know what he is? Close your ears. He's the boil on the butt of America.
Helen, when I need a graphic example of what certain things are or what they represent, I will call you long distance. I guarantee you.
That wasn't nice. I apologize.
Don't apologize, because I think your analogy, even though a little unsettling, was probably the truth.
Have a good day.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's always the police fault. It's always Whitey's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. A 14-year-old kid is out shooting somebody in the streets, and he's confronted by the police. He turns the gun on the police and they take him down. Why should that policeman die, or any policeman die, under those circumstances? Where are the parents? Where's the supervision? 3 o'clock in the morning and this punk is out on the streets? Give me a break. No parents, no parental discretion or supervision. This is their fault. Give me a call, 436-2244. Good morning, you're on the air. Talk to me, caller. Talk to me, caller. Gina, is there anybody on that line? Hello, Gina? I don't hear anyone.
I think he hung up on us.
They got to have a little patience. I just got the call, so call back, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call back. I'd like to hear from you, if you would, please. I don't even have a lighter note this morning. It gets even more stupid. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Speak to me, please.
Bell, how are you doing
I'm
today?
very upset this morning because America has turned into Ned and the first grade reader, and we're too dumb to read the words.
I completely agree with you. I think that, if anybody has studied history throughout the ages, most of the great societies that have been in existence and then have fallen have not fallen because of armies or anything else. The biggest majority of them have all fallen because of wickedness and turning to perverse ways. It's been that way through history throughout time.
What did Khrushchev say in 1963, my friend?
I can't remember.
I can tell you what he said. We will take over America without having to fire a shot.
Oh, yeah. And see, we're heading that way. And, what we've got to do as people, in my opinion, is we have got to get rid of the politicians that we have back there now.
I couldn't agree more.
I was I'm like you, I'm appalled at Harry Reid, but I'll tell you who I'm appalled at more than anybody are the Republicans we have back there. John Boehner got up, and I thought John Boehner was going to do a good job, but John Boehner gets up there just like all the rest of them in the House of Representatives back there, and they mouth off about it. They're not going to put up with this and do this or anything else. And then they turn right back around and they cower right down to him.
John Boehner.
Everything he does. And we need to get people back there that are going to stand up. And if they say they're going to do it, they need to do it, not just be a word of mouth like we have back there now.
John Boehner is a joke, but nobody's laughing. John Boehner is nothing more than a filled three-piece suit and wingtip shoes that likes to get a suntan and stand up in front of the cameras and say, we did this and we did that. John Boehner is a disgrace. I don't like the man. I don't like his politics. I think he's one of the reasons the Republican Party is absolutely on the edge of the cliff and ready to fall off. I agree with you that we've got to get some people in with some backbone. Let me ask you this. I'm in a bad mood this morning about politicians, and I'm going to carry it further. I absolutely think that there should be term limits, and I think these people should go back there. I don't want them buddy-buddy. I don't want them going off for a beer and a burger. I want them going back there and working for us, and if they tee people off, so what?
Well, I agree with you 100% because if you look at all those guys that are in there for 25 and 30 years, you start looking at all the money that they get thrown into their states and stuff for pork projects look here a couple years ago, the senator in Alaska, I think it was Ted Stevens, I think was his name, that got money appropriated from Congress, and what they did with it was they asphalted the road up to his favorite restaurant. And that's what we've got back there. We got people back there. There's very few of them back there that care about any of us. All they want to do is line their pockets.
That's right.
And steal from us. And I'm very, very disappointed with our senators from Idaho, our legislatures from Idaho. I know you have them on the radio and they tell you all this stuff, but then you follow them and there's no follow through. They don't do anything. They just tell you what you want to hear.
Well, wait a minute though. Be fair in essence right there. I'm gonna kind of paint you into a corner. There is one that after we had a confrontation regarding Muslim Brotherhood and Michelle Bachmann that you haven't heard on my program because he will not call me, I will not call him, and that's Congressman Mike Simpson. He broke the rules as far as I'm concerned in labeling me and others that are concerned about Muslims in our government and our society as McCarthyists, and Mike's not welcome till he apologizes.
Well, and as far as our legislators go in the state of Idaho, he probably is number one on the list of being the most worthless one of all of them.
Well, he's got a long way to go to regain, if he ever could, any of trust of my being a constituent for him. And I'll guarantee you there's others. I will say that they'd better stand up and start being like junkyard dogs. I don't care if it's Lee out of Utah, if it's Crapo here, or if it's Risch. I don't care. I agree with you. I don't want him to go back there and join the good old boys club and just go along to get along. I want him to go back and represent us. And if they tee people off, who cares?
Well, yeah, our Constitution says we're a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Well, for the people has totally been forgotten by the people that we have elected to represent us and do the thing. And we need to get good people that have the time and that have the standards to stand up and come forth and say, okay,
I agree.
Got to stop. And
sir, I always appreciate your call. I don't mean to cut you off, but I've got to get my commercial in before the news, and I always thank you for your call. Thank you.
I appreciate it, my friend, and you have a very nice day.
Thank you very much. I like that man and his thinking. You know, will I ever apologize for my statements this morning on the program? No. Will there be groups that will demand apologies? Probably. They'll never get one. I'm not about to apologize for what I believe in. What a hypocrite I'd be then. Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, absolutely serving you with the best of tires. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, including all the best in tires, free peace of mind tire protection, free lifetime tire and mileage care. Absolutely, they've got the best. And they've got the best in brake services. They've got the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts. Everything you need absolutely is there with the best in service at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in today and see Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy, the old Seahawks fan, in Burley, right there on Overland. You stop in today and see the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Gina, quite a discussion this morning so far.
Very much, very good discussion.
And, by the way, I will not weaken on my stance. I absolutely am adamant that what I saw happen in California with Governor Jerry Brown is sick and perverted. And we've got three lovely ladies in the studio right now that feel like they probably walked into a hornet's nest, and they did. And we're going to be talking about the Cassia County School plant levy this next hour. And we're going to welcome callers and questions. And if people have statements, don't wait till they're off the program. Call them while they're here on the program. Have the backbone to address the issue up front. Okay? We'll be back in about 6 minutes. I got to take some blood pressure medicine. I'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Hour number 2 is at the ranch. At the old ranch house, the plane is gone. He's done spraying the sugar beets, and we can hear ourselves think here right now this morning. We are brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations serving you, and service is the key word, along with some of our other great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
Of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, here by our community, our resources and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal is exactly the truth, too, because they'll be there. If you get on the wrong service, take care of your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Don't worry about it. And also, they've got the summer rentals of all the restrooms with the standalone hand wash stations. Excellent for community gatherings, picnics, your family reunions, everything that you need right there at Western Waste Services. It's true. They are always at your disposal. Please give them a call today, 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about a dear friend of ours, and that's Joel Heward, the owner-manager of Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel and his staff committed to always upholding the highest of ethical standards with unquestioned integrity in serving you and your loved ones. So please contact them today. They believe that every life is worth remembering. Please contact them for pre-information on funerals so that we can help eliminate a lot of the stress and worry for our families. Call them today at 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. I have not 3, but 4, including my wife. I'm surrounded by beauty here this morning, and I feel like a thorn among roses. And we have some lovely ladies in the studio that are going to be talking about the Cassia County School Plant Levy. And we're going to start first of all, and I'll introduce all of them. We have Debbie Critchfield, and she's the Public Relations Director for this event. And also we have Kathy Millar, school board member, and we have, I'm going to say it right, bet on it, Delia Valdez, elementary school principal. Is that right? At
Mountain View Elementary.
Mountain View Elementary. I'm going to start with Debbie. Debbie, this plant levy is not a new thing. It's happened before, and it's met with some negativity. Now, you're here this morning to tell the listeners in the audience why this is a needful thing and why it can't fail again, because you do need the money for the plant levy.
Not only is this a recent thing as far as the March vote, but it is an ongoing levy that the district has had. Well, I don't even know what the history of is, but a very long time. It's really a renewal of what we're talking about here today, and helping people get the information, understand what we're asking for, get a better understanding of what the proposals are, how to go in and maintain the buildings, 59 buildings in Cassia County that we are charged with keeping up day to day.
Debbie, would you go along with this statement that maybe a lot of people don't understand the difference between a bond levy and a plant facilities levy, and they don't understand exactly where the money's going?
I suspect that there is a little bit of confusion on how education is funded and how the tax dollars are collected. Mm-hmm. And so, as you pointed out, this is a plant facilities levy. It is different than a bond. It's different than a supplemental. It can't be used for salaries. It can only be used for maintenance of current and new facilities. Repairing a roof, fixing the carpet, fixing the tile, concrete projects. It can buy buses, those sorts of issues. So, yeah, we're hoping that through better communication that the district can do a better job explaining how the money will be used.
Now, before we go to Kathy and Delia, I also want you to comment that the previous levy was for, and correct me if I'm wrong, over $23 million.
Slightly over, I think 23 and some change.
And now with a lot of sharp pencils and erasers, you've got the levy down to what figure for this time?
13.85.
13.85. And how many schools, how many different things are affected by this levy that you need the money for?
Well, it would be every facility within the district. There are, like I pointed out, carpeting needs, tile needs, plumbing needs, heating needs, and Mrs. Valdez will address some of the issues related to heating at Mountain View. She's got some issues there that have caused her in the past to shut down a wing of school, leaving children at home so that they can address some of the heating issues. Okay. So every building is affected by the money.
Let's do this, and I emphasize to the listening audience that now is the time to ask your questions. Now is the time to call 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. And if you have a question about this levy, you have a question about where the money's going to go, you have some negativity or you have some positive remarks, now's the time to voice them so that we can clear the air and everything can go ahead. And the vote will take place August 27th. Is that right?
Yes, and where the state has consolidated all of the elections, folks will go and vote at their regular polling place.
At the regular polling places. Okay, let's go on down the line here. Kathy Millar, school board member. Why is it so important to stress the fact of the positives about this plant levy right now?
Well, as a board, we all want what's best for the district, and we see real needs in each of the buildings. We see, heating systems that need to be fixed. We see, all manner of things, and we really need to have the funds to make the repairs that need to be done.
Okay. Now, do you think that people understand that this money is money that's needed? It's not wishful money. It's not money for pie-in-the-sky projects. It's needed for the plant facilities.
Well, I really hope so. Anybody that was at the 4th of July thing at the King Fine Arts Center knows that air conditioning system went out. I mean, these buildings are aging. There are real needs that are coming up as as things get older. If you have a house, eventually it needs a new roof, and you can only put it off for so
Do
long.
not bring that up, because I went through that in December, January, and February. We had the roof torn off, trying to get a new roof established. So please, that was a bad one to bring up for me this morning.
Well,
But no, do people understand, I think from the last time it was at $23 million, that's a lot of money. And in our economy today, things are a little bit tight, people are strapped. Now that you've sharpened your pencil, do you think that you've got things to where they can understand and appreciate what you're trying to do?
well, I sure hope so. The needs are the same. We've just consolidated the amount of projects that we hope to be able to do in the next few years. So things are still going to be put off. But we hope that this will be enough to take us through.
Is the terminology bad or good? This is a Band-Aid to get you through and at least take care of some of the real serious problems.
Yeah, that would be how I view it.
Okay. Now I want to talk to elementary school principal Delia Valdez. She's been sitting over there going, please, it's my turn. I want to say something. Delia, what do you think about this levy? And then caller standby. I just want to introduce Delia. We'll be right with you. Do not go away. Go ahead.
People that know me will probably say you're right. She is dying to say something.
So you like to talk, huh?
Yes. I'm here because at Mountain View we have some major needs as far as plant facility needs. We have furnaces that are extremely old that when they break down, they have to manufacture parts. And when they are down, we have, fortunately, we have able to just shut down certain wings by grade levels to get those repaired. And they happen a lot. Also the safety of the building and making sure people are safe when they're in the building. The students are safe. Concrete needs as they age the building, broken concrete in the back that is not a good place to be walking around.
Yeah, it's kind of like me. I'm just falling apart as I get older.
Me too.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead with your question and comment.
Hey, Zeb, I've got the woman showed me a breakdown of these property taxes. And I'll tell you what, these guys talk about these levies and everything. There is money for repairs in our property taxes. If you ever get a chance, get a total breakdown of of our property taxes, and it'll show you that these people already have that money, and it's not used for that specific purpose.
I'm going to have Debbie respond to that as the public relations director. Go ahead, Debbie, if you would, please.
This is where we're really missing our financial gal. I know that property taxes support education, for sure. And those property taxes are sent to the state of Idaho. Then with the formula, they're redistributed back to the individual school districts. And then the school districts, as part of their general budget, determine what percentage of that general budget goes towards maintenance projects. In Cassia County, it's 0.6%. That is how much they're able to. 87% of the general budget for Cassia County pays for employee benefits and salaries. And so there's not a great deal of money that is set aside year to year, that can be set aside year to year to maintain over 59 buildings in the district.
So basically, and pardon me for making a summation on this without the knowledge that you have, but at a 0.6%, you've got a whole bunch of percentage that's not going to be taken care of to furnish the money for the plant levy.
Which is why we need to pursue a renewal of the plant facility levy that we've had. Yes.
And if I say something that's wrong, correct me.
I hope I know enough to point it out.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
I just have an observation. I know there's needs within the district. I think it was Mrs. Valdez mentioned the crumbling concrete. I think Mrs. Critchfield kind of touched on that when she talked about certain money that's earmarked. How come we haven't been addressing those over the future? We're just kind of saving them all up, and it seems like the district's trying to say, oh my gosh, we have all these needs, poor pity us, we need to do this or whatever. Shouldn't some of those have been taken care of? And I'll just be blunt, prior to building or purchasing the new central office out south of town, that seems to me it could have repaired a lot of furnaces, a lot of concrete, and addressed a lot of needs within the district.
You know, sir, I appreciate your call, and I know these ladies will address that, and we'll do it over the air. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Who's going to handle that question?
I guess I can start, and then I'm going to pass the microphone to Mrs. Millar, and she can address it from the board side. I think there's two issues that we're talking about. The purchase of the former Forest Service building is separate than the money that can be used to maintain the buildings. And with the purchase, I'll just quickly address the purchase of the building. There was a little bit of a shuffling that went around. The preschool was moved. There was an overcrowding at the alternative school. Rooms were opened up there, and so that actually created opportunities for the growth that we've had in the district to accomplish that. As far as waiting until all of the needs are such that, you know, we need to have this big lump sum of money, the district does the best that it can to piece by piece identify the problems. What are pressing? What can we address year to year, day to day, you know, within the school years? As probably your listeners can recall, over the last several years, there have been 3 failed bond attempts. Some of the issues that are put into this plant facilities now would have been addressed through a bond. The voters of the county didn't think that was necessary, and so that makes the list a little greater than maybe it would have been had those things gone through.
Okay, Kathy, if you'd like to respond to that also.
Okay. Essentially what Debbie said, the purchasing of the Forest Service building allowed us to shuffle classrooms around, and it was really a classroom space purchase. It wasn't an administrative office purchase. I mean, that's what ended up being there, but it did open up classrooms for us, and that was the main reason that we purchased it. We actually originally looked at it as classroom space, but decided that it would be better used as administrative space. Additionally, when needs come up, whatever is the most pressing at the time is what gets done first. And we're not putting off any projects. We're not, you know, saving things up so that it looks bad. We just have that many needs.
All right.
It's there.
Now, I'm going to have Delia respond to this. Caller, do not go away. We'll be right there. Have patience, and we'll have your call on the air. Go ahead, Delia, please.
Well, yes. I just recall when he says we're saving things up, I just recall that when we look for a project like getting some cement done, all of a sudden we have a furnace that goes down, so we need to make sure the furnace is working. So there goes the money for that particular project. If carpet needs to be replaced and the water is something that we need to take care of, then it becomes an issue that we have to prioritize, and that's why some of those projects looks like they've been sitting for a while, but in fact it's other things that have come up throughout our building, and I can imagine throughout if the district. I have a view of Mountain View, so of my school, so I can see that happening. I see that happening in my building, so I can imagine that it's on a much bigger area when it comes through district-wide.
Okay, thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air, please.
Zeb, well, first of all, the money that was used to purchase that Forest Service building came out of taxpayer dollars somewhere along the line. That did not come out of their own personal pockets. Number 2, I think Oakley High School needs a new gymnasium before Declo needs another one. I think also there's some things at Burley High School that needs cleaned up before another bond is passed. And I thank you. Have a good day.
All right, sir. And Debbie, respond to that, please.
I appreciate that the caller recognizes that there are some needs around the district, and he plays a little bit into what we're pursuing here with the levy. As far as taxpayer dollars, the caller is correct. Every dollar that comes to the school district is taxpayer money. It's nothing personal to anybody, but the district financial people, our superintendent, our good superintendent, they try to be wise stewards over the taxpayer dollars and spend it wisely. And anyone can go in and request information on how those dollars are spent. And yes, we do have some needs around the district, and depending on where you're standing in our county, you think your needs are more pressing, and I know the folks in Oakley, as I am an Oakleyite myself, would agree with that, and hopefully we'd get to a point somewhere that some of these bigger projects could be accomplished.
Let me ask a question here, and then I'll do a commercial break, and then we'll take some more calls. Caller, I'm going to ask your patience. Stay on the line, please. Let's address the fact that if the levy is not passed, there's some real serious problems that will not be addressed financially. What then? I mean, you've got to address the negatives at that point.
Well, those are some of the questions that I've been asking for the last several months since it went down the first time. We don't, at this point, have a list of things that are going to be cut, but there will have to be some serious cuts made in order to meet all the pressing needs. So I can't give you a list of, this will go away and that'll go away, but we're going to have to take a long, hard look if this doesn't pass.
All right, Kathy. Caller, I will be there in 30 seconds, I promise. Stand by. Don't forget Idaho Lending Group at 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. Make sense with your money. And I'll tell you on behalf of Deanna and myself, we called Scott Martin at Idaho Lending Group and wanted a refinancing on our mortgage here at Zeb at the Ranch, and they saved us money. Very caring, very courteous, very knowledgeable. Their goal is to serve you. And as a borrower, take the time to fully understand all of your loan options that can save you significant amounts of money over the life of your loan. NMLS number 181777, equal opportunity lender. I think these folks do a great job. Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls, 734-5626. Caller, good morning. Your comments, please.
You bet. First of all, I want to say I support the levy. I understand that it's important and that there's a huge need there. However, I've got to say, to suggest that people might not understand what it's for, I think is a little insulting. That levy's been passed, has a long history of being passed. I think people understand exactly what it's for. I think the failure, and I just suggest this from people that I've talked to, the failure of the last bond is probably a message being sent that a lot of people don't like a lot of things that are going on within the district. The high school has had a lot of black eyes over the past couple of years, and things don't seem to be getting addressed appropriately. I think people are just sending a message saying, look, we want some changes, and if you're not going to listen to us, this is the way we're going to respond. And I'd like to hear the comments on that.
All right, sir, and I do appreciate and respect your comment, and whoever wants to field that question, go ahead, please.
Those of us sitting here in the room also respect those comments, and certainly we never have any desire to be insulting to any listeners. If anything, it's to better communicate the district's position so that folks out there can see what the proposals are and understand how the money is being spent. I know that has been one of the criticisms coming to the district, is that there hasn't been a real good open door as far as communicating what the board's decisions have been, what recommendations have come in from professionals and other people that go in to see the buildings, and how they come up with the list. And so taking time, thankfully, on your show, gratefully that you'll let us have this opportunity, and putting things in the paper and on the district website and so forth isn't to insult people. It's to communicate better and have people see and feel better about what they're going to be voting on.
I cut you short before, Delia, and I know that you'd probably like to respond somewhat to that last caller's comments. Go ahead quickly, and then I'll take a hard break at the bottom of the hour.
No, well, I was just thinking about our PTO and our parents at Mountain View and thanking them, because I know there are some questions, but they've always been very supportive of our projects and some of the things that we have done with the help of with the help of the PTO and the parents in our building. And so as I listened to the last caller, and I wanted to, yes, we know there are some things that there's some questions that they're asking, but I also know that there's lots of parents that are saying, yes, we do have some concerns with what is going on in overall, but we have some really good things going on in the district as well. And that's what some of my parents are saying. We have some good things going on in the district, and therefore they're very supportive of what we are doing at our school.
And Kathy, I think you'd agree, and I'm basically an outsider living in Twin Falls County, but I will say this, that with negativity, you still have the bills to pay, you still have the reparations to make on the buildings, you still have the pavement to fix it, and everything. So regardless of the black eyes or the negativity, these bills still go on.
Absolutely. And if people are dissatisfied with what their representatives are doing, I would encourage them to call their representative. My phone number's in the phone book. Give me a call. Tell me what you don't like. We listen, and I would encourage people to let us know what they'd like to see different.
But time is of essence. August 27th is looming around the corner, and if there's any information or any education that they need as far as where this money's going to go, you three are open and available to give the information to those folks.
Absolutely, and it's also on the district website. They can go and look at things. It's all spelled out.
Okay. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got to pay some bills, and I'll be right back with more of these three lovely ladies talking about the Cassia County School Plant Levy. So stay tuned. Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott, one of our sponsors for the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And boy, have they got a deal for you. 230 West 7th Street North in Burley. Need a break? How about a romance package at the Fairfield? You get a box of chocolates, a bottle of sparkling cider, a king-size suite, a huge pool, all of that. Leave the kids with Granny and Grandpa. You're going to have a good time at the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. Also, Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley, 678-9398. Don't forget, Kelly's Bearing Supply keeps everything on hand so you don't have to waste your time or money. Bearings, chains, brackets. See Zach or Brett today, the bearing specialist at Kelly's Bearing Supply. Also, Fence Solutions, 2833 Overland in Burley, serving southern Idaho since 2007. They offer all the premium vinyl fencing, decking, and porch railings, along with a variety of vinyl products for your yard or garden. Give Corey a call, 312-9275. Fence Solutions, along with the other folks, Burley Fairfield Inn and Kelly's Bearing Supply, of course, celebrating the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. At the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo tonight, don't forget they're going to have that big concert, great concert. I know this guy, Aaron Tippin, does a fantastic job, has had a lot of big hit songs. You're going to love the concert tonight at 8 p.m. at the rodeo grounds right there at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Tomorrow, more fun continues along with the team ranch sorting. They're going to have all the different events judged. And then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the great big Pro Rodeo, PRCA Rodeo at its best. And they've got some of the nation's top cowboys coming in. So don't miss a minute of it. Your Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I've often wondered why they have that vacant lot next to the junior high over there in Burley. It's a huge lot, and it's never used for anything. Why don't they get rid of some of their assets and take the money from that and repair the junior high if it needs repairing? Start eliminating some of this property that they have that they don't use.
All right. Good, fair question. Who wants to address that? Go ahead. We'll answer on the air. Go ahead.
We'll try to do our best here. I can't speak to the day-to-day uses of that lot at Burley Junior High, and I'm sure that Mr. Steve Kottman, the principal there, probably has a better idea and, of course, would know the day-in and day-out uses. As far as general properties around the district, pretty much every scrap of ground that we've got is being utilized in some form or another. And again, our district officials that go and look and our board, they take into consideration those sorts of things in making decisions on where they're going to put money.
Okay. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to go back and address with Kathy and Delia and, of course, Debbie that the plant levy was originally at $23-point-something million, and each school, I'm assuming, had to sit down and say, okay, we can whittle this down, and then you took a composite and came up now where you're asking for roughly $13 million, right? Is that right?
Roughly. The needs, like I said, are still there. It's not that we cut projects off. It's just we looked at it and said, you know what, we can put more priority on this one right now.
Kind of a bare bones type thing.
Exactly. It wasn't a matter of cutting projects at all. It was just what can we do without if we have to.
So each and every school, Delia, basically had to sit down and analyze their priorities, didn't they?
Yes.
And that's what you did.
Yes, I think we all sat down together and we kind of looked at what we needed. Technology is a big need in our building, and we kind of take a look at that and the infrastructure that we need for the technology. Because we'd like to be the people that introduce and teach students about technology, as opposed to them coming and saying, "Do you know how to run this this device, Mrs. Valdez? Because I do," kind of thing. So we would like to be that part of that is in education, is to be the leaders of teaching technology, and that comes to as that's one of the aspects of this levy that we really looked at.
Right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Your comments, please.
Good morning. I would just like to direct to the people that are there that over the past couple years, my general consensus of talking to a lot of people in the area is that you guys need to quit beating around the bush and start being honest and direct with people. And two examples that I have is the issue of the water in Malta. It was in the paper for I don't know how long, and then finally the school board comes out and says everything is great, everything is taken care of. 3 months later, it comes out that nothing has been done, and it's just as bad. The other incident that I had was when the last levy came up. There was an issue in the levy that I really needed to understand, and I directly called when they had them on your show. I called them and asked them about that issue, and they skirted around that issue with everything under the sun, never did address it. I talked to another school board member a little bit later on about it, got the same thing, and then I personally called Mrs. Critchfield at home to express my concerns, and all I got was a line of BS and never got anything directed to the question that I asked.
What was the question? What was the question that you asked?
They want to know.
Wait a minute. Whoa, sir. I appreciate your call, but you got to be more specific. What was the question that you asked that was not directed back with a straight answer? Let's lay it on the table right now.
It's been a couple years ago, and I can't remember, but it had something to do with the levy, with one of the issues in the levy, and something that I really wanted to know about because I questioned it. And like I say, at my but I did direct that question, and when I could not get an answer, I will be honest with you, because they would not give me an answer to my question, I personally voted against the levy, which I never would have done. But when I can't get my school board people to answer a question directly about the levy, and all I get is a runaround and a skirt around the issue thing, I have a hard time wanting to sit there and support
I understand your comments, and I'm going to have the three ladies respond to what your comments were this morning. And I can guarantee you that if you come up with a question that you asked years ago and you have another question, I think you can call back on this program or call them later, and they'll give you an answer. Thank you very much for your call. I do appreciate it. Thank you. God bless. Debbie, we'll start with you.
Absolutely, and where I've been named personally, I will publicly apologize that the gentleman doesn't feel that his question was answered, and I certainly don't recall that interaction, and if he can again come up with what that question was, I'd be happy to revisit that with him. And I know that the school board trustees, our superintendent, those people that are charged with the day-to-day activities of the school, they take it seriously and of course want to answer honestly and deliberately questions that are raised concerning the expending of school funds. That's important, and the district knows that, and certainly there's no attempt to hide things. The financial information is all public information. It can be viewed online. A person can walk into the central office and ask for a hard copy of any of the things that we're talking about, and so it's unfortunate that there is the appearance of that, and I know that the school board has a desire to change that perception, as their patrons in the county too. Their tax dollars go to support the same things, and they have an interest in seeing us successful.
Okay, now here's what we're going to do. Caller, I'm going to ask again your patience to stay on the line, because yours truly will not have a program if he doesn't pay the bills, so bear with me. We'll be right with you, caller. Don't forget Lee's Furniture blazing hot summer sale. No down, no interest until 2014. The very best of recliners. My goodness, all the living room groups are reduced in price. They've got clearance prices to go right into your home. Dining room groups, bedroom items, all kinds of great things for the beautification and the comfort of your home. Check out all the rolls and rolls of carpet, all the flooring. They've got it all for you at Lee's Furniture, floors and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see the people that really understand comfort and beauty and your home. Lee's Furniture, floors and more, serving you. Let's have a Michael Rogers weather update, and then we'll be back. Caller, stand by, please.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Tuesday, the 13th of August. Any change in the weather? The same weather pattern we've had now for about the last 2 weeks. Another day of sunny and hot, possibly a slight chance of a thunderstorm. So see a few clouds. It's going to drop out today to a high of about 96. Going to get hotter tomorrow. Look for 99 for the high. The overnight low tonight will be right around 60. Enjoy the day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. It is the only weather we have. Thank you very, very much. Let's ride. Don't forget Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. The number to call, 436-4771. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and that is where the fun is sold. They've got the Can-Am Maverick Max 4-seater right over there in stock at Let's Ride, along with all the 2014 models that are showing up daily. Stop in, check it out, and of course a great service department serving you. Nick and the rest of the crew, that is where the fun is sold. Absolutely. Let's Ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Caller, thank you for your patience. Good morning, please.
Yes, I have a question. Earlier, one of your guests mentioned the air conditioning unit at the King Fine Arts Center, which I think was wonderful timing to have the community in the King Fine Arts Center and to realize the air conditioner failed. I've also read in the paper lately that that building was built without a maintenance fund, and to me that seems ludicrous. If we have a big, beautiful building, it seems logic to me that our leaders in the district would make sure that there was money to maintain that building, and I guess what I as a taxpayer am asking is to cut the waste. There's not money to maintain our buildings, but it seems to me that there's money to always do with what they want to do with, and to build a building of that size and not include, crap, how are we going to take care of this building? Seems ludicrous to me.
I tell you what, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your comments, as I said a moment ago, and we'll have them direct their comments to you on the air. Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
I'll take that one. I guess there's a clarification from what the caller read in the paper. The King Fine Arts Center, of course, is under the general maintenance fund of the school district. I think what was intended in what was written up is that center was donated by the King family back when Burley High School was built. And that donation did not include a separate maintenance fund for that building. The district maintains it as it does all of its buildings. So there's not just a King Fine Arts maintenance fund, but certainly any project or any facility that the district undertakes, they have to maintain that, and there is money within the general fund to take care of these sorts of projects.
Why do you ladies suppose, and I'm very blunt on this program, I don't chase a rabbit around a tree, why do you suppose there's so much animosity, if you will, against a plant levy when really it's needed, it's necessary, every day is a deterioration of the problem and getting worse? Why do you think people have this animosity against a levy to refurbish, if you will, necessary improvements?
Well, I think it's like the earlier caller said, that there's a lot of discontent with how things have been handled in the district, and I don't know if that's as much with the way things are handled or the way things are perceived. there's just been a lot of negativity in the community, and we as a board would like to turn that around. We would like to help people to understand what we've been trying to do. None of us are paid. We're volunteering. We care about our students. We care about our district. We just want to do what's best and what the community wants. And like I said earlier, we're open to any and all comments. We'd like to hear what people have to say. We want to change. We want to have the community happy with their district and proud of the way that things are being handled.
Delia, if you've got a hole in the driveway at the school that could eat small Volkswagens, it has to be repaired, right?
That's correct. It
and
does.
That's what you're asking for.
Right. That's exactly what it is what we need. We need to be a safe school. We need to have our children in a place where it's safe and environmentally comfortable for them to be in.
Okay. Calls are welcome, and all the callers, I do appreciate and respect you for voicing your opinions, and we still have a lot of time left, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What other tidbits of information, Debbie, should we lay out in front of the folks so they can understand better what a school plant levy is and why they should go vote on the 27th?
I would like to take a few minutes just to address the technology piece. And I know Delia kind of mentioned that a little bit, how important that is becoming and how integrated that is becoming in education. I think up to this point, we've spent the bulk of our time talking about concrete and roofs and those sorts of things. The technology side of what's included in the plant facility is a huge benefit to every student in the county. Cassia County does an exceptional job statewide in offering all sorts of opportunities through college credits, through college classes. They can earn college credits, and a lot of these classes and these sorts of opportunities are delivered online. All of our testing is done. The state testing is all done through computer. We're good at, the teachers have gotten very good at using all sorts of new devices, Kindles and iPads and iPods, and again, being innovative in their classrooms and encouraging these types of educational betterments, I guess is the word. We can enhance what is already happening with the plant facility money. There will be a portion of this that will go to that infrastructure, upgrading computers, increasing bandwidth, and those sorts of things that help. It's not just about the carpet or the tile, but it actually is helping our children.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning with your question. You're on the air.
Yes, this isn't necessarily pertinent, but it is something that matters. I had an invitation by the school district to come to a meeting, and I've been just swamped, and I just didn't know that I missed it or not. Did I miss it?
Yes, sir, we did. We had D.L. Evans sponsored an education forum, again, in an interest with the school board to better hear what's going on in the community and partner with businesses and people who care about education, which everyone does, of course. That was last Tuesday, but we'd like to do it again and invite the community in and hear, again, the thoughts and ideas of patrons of the community.
One more point quick. This morning, Zeb was talking about what Governor Jerry Brown did in California about the transgender going into either locker room or bathroom. And we say this stuff will never happen here, but let's face it, they're coming this direction. What are we going to do to stop this? And I'll hang up.
All right, thank you, caller. Go ahead. I'll let Kathy. She's wild with anticipation to touch that one, I'll guarantee you. Chomping on the bit.
Well, I wasn't able to listen to the program this morning.
There's no excuse for that, by the way.
Well, no, there's not. But I did hear a little bit about it, and I will tell you that I will never stand for that. I will never vote for such a thing happening in our district. I have 4 children in these schools, and I care about what happens in these schools.
I respect the way you handled that and what you said as a parent and also as a school board member. And Delia, my comments earlier this morning, if you heard it or not, Governor Jerry Brown basically said and signed into law that K through 12 students that think they're transgendered, can join any sports team, male or female, that they wish, and use any bathroom or locker room facilities that they wish. It just absolutely takes the morality and the respect out of life as far as I'm concerned. We have to draw some lines. You need the microphone.
Yes, I do. And I think the major word there is respect.
Yes.
I think that's a key, is we need to respect, we need to respect our rules, and students need to learn that respect with each other, and I think that is the way our school board would handle that.
Okay. Now, we've only got about 10 minutes left, and I don't want to get off of the railroad tracks here. We're talking about the school plant levy, and I think you three have done an exemplary job of coming on the air this morning and discussing it. Basically, what it is, it's the second time, Debbie, jump on the microphone, second time that you are trying to get this passed. It's going to be on August 27th, and you've already stated that it's going to be at the quote-unquote known voting poll places, right? And so there shouldn't be any question as to where they go.
Correct. And I don't go to the schools, I guess is what I'm going to say. In the past, before we had consolidated elections, you would go to the school to vote for those things. Don't do that. Wherever you voted for your mayor or the president or your local representatives, that's where we'd want folks to go. And the whole purpose of us being on the radio and putting all the things out there isn't to try to trick people or slide things under the mat. It's an effort to actually open everything up, let folks see where the information is, take a look at it, request it, talk to people, talk to neighbors, call, and we'll try to answer questions and make a good informed decision.
Let me ask you this. I think it was Kathy said something earlier I wanted to elaborate on. You said how many buildings are affected by this levy?
We have 59 buildings in the district, and I wanted to point out that 24 of those buildings were built before 1977.
So 59 buildings, and I was very interested. In your information sheets, you had broken this down as to describe how many square feet of the buildings are involved. 907,500 square feet, 120 acres of grass that has to be mown and taken care of, 39 acres of parking lots, 436,000 square feet of carpeting that gets ruined, wrecked, and basically wears out, 230,200 square foot of tile flooring, and 103,400 square foot of hardwood floors, over 20 acres of roofing that can fall apart, fleet of 62 school buses traveling more than 580,000 miles a year. Now that, I think, is pretty explanatory as to why you might need this levy.
The cost of running schools and the wear and tear on buildings, anyone, as Kathy alluded to with the home analogy, anyone that's tried to repair anything in the last few years, the costs have gone up. We wish we could do it cheaper. These things need to be done. We wish it weren't so expensive and that we had control over the prices of these things, but we don't. We go through a bidding process, of course, but the market values are what they are.
All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. This may seem like a silly question, but to vote in support of this, do we vote yes or no? That's sometimes very confusing.
You know something, lady? God bless you, because there's been so many issues in the last 10 years, I'll sum it up 10 years, that have gone on ballots that have had people completely confused as to whether a yes means no or a no means yes. I thank you for that, because I'm going to have them address that. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Debbie, that is a real pitfall when you go to the polls. A yes might mean no, or a no might mean yes. It's not clear and dried.
Except that this one is.
Okay.
A yes means yes, and a no means no. And like you, the three of us were nodding our heads in approval of the great question.
Absolutely.
A yes means that you would support and be willing to have your tax dollars support these improvements.
There are 59 buildings, and they are in, what, Albion, Elmo, Burley, Declo, Oakley, and Malda. I mean, you're spread out. It's a big county, and it's a big school district.
I believe square footage-wise, we are, or square mileage, excuse me, that we are the same size as the state of Delaware when you put it on the map.
Really?
We're a
That's
large
impressive.
district. We're a large district.
Yeah. And they each have their own specific problems and needs, right, Delia?
Yes, we each do.
And you kind of itemize those.
Yes.
Okay. What about your school now? You're at Mountain View, you said?
Mountain View Elementary.
Okay. And you've kind of had to pick and choose what you think is the most serious right now.
Right, and sometimes the projects pick themselves. If it's a furnace, it becomes priority.
You're right.
Yeah.
And Kathy is a school. You know, I got to tell you, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Kathy and Debbie are sharing the same earpiece that is split down the middle, and if one decides to go north and the other one wants to go south, they're going to have a headache. But Kathy, as a school board member, you've probably heard every argument about this, haven't you?
Well, yeah, probably.
And your response would be that it's necessary
It is
on the 27th.
Absolutely. I like I said, I have kids in the schools. We're spread out across, 4 different schools this year, and I'm in them often, and I see the needs, and I really hope that the voters will support this funding.
Let's turn it around. All three of you, besides being parents and supportive of the levy, are also taxpayers. And right now, things are tough. The economy's tough. But if you don't do these improvements, it's going to be a little tougher down the road, is it not?
Absolutely. It's a lot harder to rebuild your house once it falls down than it is to keep up with it as you're going along.
All right. We have time for more calls. Give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. When you think about life insurance, please think about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, locally owned by Dean Cameron and Todd Siemens. Two really good, dedicated, responsive people to your needs. Give them a call, 436-4424. Again, the name, remember it, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424, located on Highway 24 in Rupert, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I think we ought to start to wrap it up a little bit, and I think we'll start over here with Delia, and kind of like we're wrapping up a big trial here this morning. Give a summation, if you would, counselor, and let us know your thoughts about the plant levy on the 27th.
I think the school board has, and the district office has done a really good job of listing the things that will be part of the levy. And if you need to do that, you can go online and take a look at that on their on the website to look at what are the projects that that are high priority. And I think those things, if you have a question of what that money will be going to, it's listed right there. And I think they've done a really good job doing that.
All right, we have a caller with a question quick, and then we'll go to Kathy. Caller, go ahead, please.
Thank you. From what I understand, Oakley built a new wrestling facility within the last few years here. And also understand that the person that pushed for that most was the wrestling coach. And I also understand that he's the one that was awarded the contract for the bid, whatever, or if there was bids, to build that. Do you think there's a conflict of interest there? And also, was that put out for bid? Was people like Randy and other contractors able to have the chance to build that facility? I'll listen on the air, thanks.
All right, thank you for your call. Appreciate that. Debbie, go ahead.
I don't know all the ins and outs of how the structure was built, but it is the policy of the school district to bid out those projects. So if an individual that was associated with the team in some way or another was awarded that bid, I would assume that it was because they had the lowest bid. Again, not knowing all the ins and outs of that. And I guess the word facility is perhaps a nice word for an addition that was put on to the school, Oakley High School, which of course was needed. The wrestlers had been actually wrestling in the old Oakley packing shed. And
fun.
Yeah, and so that certainly was something that was greatly appreciated. And it's also used as the weight room for the weight program, so it filled the need of a classroom and a requirement for the kids there. And I know that the wrestling team and any of the coaches affiliated with that, they put a lot of their own service time painting and going in and doing a lot of other things with that they didn't get paid for as well.
Okay. Kathy, real quick, I've only got 3 minutes left, and then I got to go to Debbie. Your final thoughts about the levy on the 27th.
Well, I'll just reiterate that it is necessary. We have a long list of projects. I'll refer people to our district website if they want to learn more. Encourage them to go to that and learn more. And please get out and vote.
All right. And Debbie, if you would, please, final thoughts. Down to about a minute and a half.
I know we've talked a lot about of generalities here with the roof and tile and carpet and pipes and furnaces and so forth. At the fair, we've got the fair coming up this week, in the art building, the district actually has a PowerPoint that's going to loop over and over. There's pictures associated with some of these issues that we're talking about so that people can see and have those lists. And if you don't want to go to the website, if that's not your thing, you can, as you're walking through the fair, take a minute or two, and we've got a TV that was donated by Walmart that they're letting us use. And anyway, another opportunity, I guess, for folks to feel more informed and feel comfortable about their decisions.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Debbie Critchfield, Delia Valdez, and Kathy Millar for coming on the program this morning talking about the Cassia County School Plant Levy, and the vote will be August 27th at all the usual polling places. Ladies, thank you very much for being on the program this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, coming up next hour, ladies and gentlemen, don't miss Dr. History at 10:06, and then followed by a great author from back in New York, Diana West, will be on with her new book talking about American betrayal. That's coming up this next hour, so stay tuned. More of Zeb at the Ranch in just a few moments. We're going to take a quick break for about 6 minutes. ABC News is next, and then we'll be back. Have a good morning. Oh my. Hour number 3 rolls on in. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service. Get rid of your garbage. It's gone. 734-6969. Now, let's see, where am I at here? Oh, real quick, I want to remind you about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Oh, great food at the Chadwick. They've got luncheon specials every day, Monday through Friday for $5.95, and they got senior citizen dinner specials Monday through Thursday, $5.95 from 4 to 6 p.m. What is on the menu today? Thought you'd never ask. And they're going to have roasted pork loin with apples and onions. Oh, good. That really sounds delicious. Mashed potatoes, veggies, and super salad. Woo! Roasted pork loin with apples and onions. Sounding good. And by the way, they're going to have their last street dance of the summer on August 24th with live music with Cannery Road at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Really nice people. Well, it's that time. Yes, it is. Time now for Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. With our friend Lucky Bourne, you can become a professional truck driver by attending this school. And right now, without further ado, here he is standing there in the middle of the arena waiting to go up and join his class reunion. Here's Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing?
Not too shabby. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good week for the rodeo. Hey, it's always fun.
Absolutely. You know, I always look forward to seeing you and visiting with you personally up in the announcer stand, naturally, because I'm greedy and I'm looking forward to a maple bar with bacon.
I knew there was another motive.
Oh, there is. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about something that was pretty well known in the Old West, the old stagecoach.
Oh, yeah. You know,
we're going to talk about that and a couple of kind of exciting stagecoach adventures that happened, and so that's what we're going to hit today.
Okay. I want to say this before you get started. It's kind of funny when you watch the old TV series Wells Fargo that starred a friend of mine, Dale Robertson, and then you see all the people that roll into town, and the stagecoach isn't dirty, it's not dusty, and everybody gets off the stagecoach looking like they just came out of a fashion magazine. It really wasn't like that, my friend.
No, it wasn't. If they got off looking fresh and clean, they just got on at the other end of the street.
Okay. Well said. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you know, nothing's quite as reminiscent of the Old West, nor quite as romantic as the old stagecoach. I mean, and it was imported from Europe, and it reached its highest development in America. And of all the means of travel in the United States, none was more essential to the development of the West than the old rockin', rumblin', clinkin', clankin', horse-drawn Concord coach. And this term was generally applied to all stagecoaches, because they were most widely known. The most widely known manufacturer was this company. It was called Abbott and Downing Company of Concord, New Hampshire. Thus, Concord Coach. Now, there were some more elaborate coaches that were built by some other companies, but and they were pretty fancy, but they really kind of took a back seat to the Concorde. I mean, the old Concorde, it was the go-to machine. I mean, high water Indians, whatever. The old Concorde was the good old standby. So, but the Western Stagecoach was kind of patterned from the Eastern Stagecoach, and maybe people don't realize that, but there were some differences there. The Western was modified to provide sturdy, durable means of travel, because obviously the roads out here were much worse. Extreme weather conditions and really lack of roads. I mean, how many times did they actually go over where there wasn't even a road? So the Eastern Coach really didn't work. He just wasn't strong enough. So the wheels were made higher, chains, braces, axles were reinforced, the running gear was heavier, and so with all the changes, the famous Concorde was ready to roll. So in the 60s and the 70s, a stage could cost around $900 for your basic model, and if you wanted to get a little fancier, you could get up to around $1,200 if you wanted the fancier stuff on your coach. So,
okay.
But, you talk about TV, and, you picture a small western town in 1870, and down the dusty street in front of the express office, here's the stagecoach, and from a distance it probably looks kind of like an egg with wheels, but when you get up closer it becomes kind of a boxy-looking thing, and from the side, the body was made longer by the box hanging over the front and where the driver rode, and the boot, or the luggage carrier, and that's in the back, suspended by some chains, kind of like I guess you'd picture like a drawbridge from behind. And, of course, here's where the trunks and the baggage was carried, and if they had too much, they just throw it up on top, and they always had a railing up around the top of the stagecoach for, even passengers or more luggage. So,
Doc, I can tell you this right now, that Hollywood has not done justice to the fear, the danger, and the dirt that you can all get wrapped up into a package when you ride one of those stagecoaches. I know, because I have been on top of one, and I'll guarantee you it's the hardest son of a gun I've ever had to ride in my life.
Well, you're right. I mean, the romantic side of the stagecoach is not the way it really was.
No.
But, when you think of this carriage, all parts of it received a lot of selection, and, the construction, the axles, the brake mechanism, the braces, the front gear, they used ash for the spokes that were hand-picked and fitted. And then they had these leather springs, and these springs were actually 1.5 inch or 3.5 inches thick. And this allowed the body of the coach to rock back and forth in rhythm with the road, and depending on the road, and to sway to one side or the other on a turn. The body would tip just a little as the passengers would climb in, but it would kind of settle down as they got in their positions, in their seats. And the principle of the leather spring suspension really actually was pretty ingenious. It eased the trip for the horses. It made it easier for the horses. It saved the traveler some aches and pains, and they used a number of layers of leather to give the body kind of a hammocky swing type effect. So it was kind of a swinging type effect, and actually was really quite effective considering how bad the roads were.
Well, let me just jump in here and ask you a question. On most of the overland stages, especially the ones here, how many adults, I think it was 6 or 7 possibly, with one sitting in the middle, could ride in the stage? Is that about right?
Okay, I'm going to get to that actually in just a minute here.
All right. Let me do a commercial real quick for our sponsor, and then we'll go right into that. Would you like to start earning about $30,000 to $40,000 a year in as little as 4 or 5 weeks? Well, then you'd better call Lucky Bourne at CSI's New Sage Truck Driving School in Burley right now. The number, 878-5802. You'll get the one-on-one over-the-road training and all the necessary endorsements, and when you burn your CDL, their team will help you get your first truck driving job. Yep. New classes begin every week. Call Lucky Bourne right now at the new CSI Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. And from semis all the way to stagecoaches, here now, Dr. History.
Okay, now picture this. The stagecoach, and you've seen pictures, they were something of a work of art. I mean, they had side lamps on them, this driver's seat, the long brake handle. The carriage was usually painted bright yellow, with the body usually red or dark green, and scrollwork ran the entire length of the body with usually the name of the owner. And most all of us picture, Wells Fargo and Company over on the stage, and the words U.S. Mail painted on the side. And so they were, and then on the doors, a lot of times they would put a prominent person, a painting, or a mountain scene. So they were really quite elaborately painted and decorated. And then, of course, they took 6 well-matched horses to pull the coach. Now, and I didn't realize this, and you probably did know this, but the front team, they were called the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
The second was called the swing horses.
That's right.
And the third were called the wheelers.
Yep.
And each team, of course, was controlled by a pair of reins, or lines, and 3 reins were held in the right hand and 3 in the left. And through skillful handling of these reins, it was possible to turn the team and coach around in the middle of a street without tipping it over. And they could do this even at a full speed.
Yeah,
of course, the front ones would have to be running faster, but to whip that coach around in the middle of the street.
I can absolutely tell everybody that I don't think I've ever been more fearful than when I got up on top of a stagecoach that entered the Coliseum in Oklahoma City at a dead gallop, went to the far corner of the Coliseum arena, and then took a left and was tilted, literally on 2 wheels on the side of the stagecoach. I'm up on top holding on for dear life, and the people that were inside this coach, they absolutely had issued themselves last rites because they were screaming like a bunch of cats.
Just imagining. Now, the inside of the coach, it was the showcase, too. I mean, luxury, designed to please the eye, physical comforts as much as possible. There were usually 3 wide seats, cushioned in leather. Now, one had its back to the driver. The other 2 faced the front. Now, the seats were close together, as you kind of indicated about how many. And if the coach happened to be crowded, passengers facing each other had to kind of dovetail their legs in between each other, and this was not looked upon favorably by the female travelers of the time. But, there was silk plush lining, there was fringe around the top, they had little candle lamps, they had leather curtains on the side they could roll up in case the weather got bad. But it was possible to get actually about 17 people besides the driver on board, with a certain amount of comfort, and there was no limit to the number that could ride if they didn't mind hanging on or sitting up on top. And one coach was known to have carried 35 people.
35 people with only 6 horses pulling it?
Yeah, they must not have had much luggage. That's the only thing I can say.
Holy buckets. I mean, that's the population of Murtaugh.
So, and passengers were any and everybody, but they all had one thing in common. They had to be durable to survive the ride. I mean, there were occasional accidents, and, coaches plunged over hillsides or they ran off a steep embankment, but for the most part, they were pretty safe form of transportation, and the coach would not actually crush or shatter in a common upset because of the way it was built. And so really, if it did crash, there were hardly anybody that was ever killed or badly injured.
You haven't touched on one very important travel issue. You've avoided it.
I might get to it.
No, you've avoided it, and I want an answer. What if somebody in the middle of the coach said all of a sudden, I gotta go to the bathroom?
I knew you were going to hit that. Well, like I say, stamina was required just to last the trip itself. Now, and here's what the story says, that the only relief came when the horses were changed every 20 miles or so, and the people could get out and rest a little bit and take care of any other items of business. And some stages didn't travel at night, but some did, and especially if a mail contract was involved. And 35 miles every 8 hours was about the average time. So I'm thinking, okay, 8 hours to get from here to about Twin Falls or Kimberly or right in there. So, but the drivers, they were called jehus.
That's not all they were called.
That's right. And they had kind of an unofficial uniform. They wore black pants with a tiny stripe, white shirt buttoned to the throat, a nice tie, dark coat, and they were just kind of good-looking guys that they were thought of pretty highly. You could call them dashing guys if you want to call them that. But
dashing guys?
Dashing, that's the term that is used.
I see, dashing.
Okay. And it's told that the stage drivers could get drunker off duty than anybody else, but when they were on duty, no way. No drinking. And in the box, while handling the coach, the driver would rarely even talk. I mean, he was paying attention to what he was supposed to be doing. He was skilled, and he knew what he was doing, and he was respected for it.
What about the guy riding shotgun?
I'm getting to him.
Well, hurry up, because I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay. They were these kings of the road, so to speak. They were given preferential treatment on an overnight stop. For instance, they would be given a bed where some of the others might have to they might have to share one, and. Sometimes the passengers at the end of the ride would give them a new pair of gloves or a new pair of boots or a cigar or a hat or something like that. But the guy riding shotgun, he was just, let's see, I don't know if I'm going to get to him or not. Anyway, we've only got a few minutes there, but let me just tell you, there was a young man by the name of Jeff Byers of Cheyenne, and he was a young boy who wanted to become a Jehu or a driver. Mm-hmm. So when he was 12 years old, he took his first stage ride, and on the run from Cheyenne to Laramie, he was accompanied by his parents, and the passenger compartment was filled. So he was given the privilege of sitting up by the driver, a guy named Jeff Cartwright. Okay? Well, a few miles west of Cheyenne, a lone man wearing a bandana over his face stepped out from behind a bush and commanded Cartwright to draw up. Well, Cartwright said, "That's the same guy who robbed me last week." He says, "I'm not going to do this." So he yelling to the horses, "Giddy up." Well, the bandit fired at the stage as it took off past him, and Cartwright was hit in the shoulder. Well, he tried to drive with one hand, but he couldn't manage it, so here's this 12-year-old kid, Jeff, sitting next to him and says, "Here, kid, you take the lines and keep them running." So young Jeff Byers looked back over his shoulder, and he didn't like what he saw because the bandit had jumped on his horse and was gaining fast, and so here's this 12-year-old boy screaming at the top of his lungs at those horses to get it going. And with his urging, the team just stepped it up, and the passengers in the back were screaming. But for the young boy, there was only one thing to do, and that was to outrun the robber. And this he did because in about 2 miles, they met the eastbound stage. And when the bandit saw that, he gave up the chase.
Now, you go back in history to our programs of later nature, and we have sat on this program and we've talked about the bad guys standing in front of a train on the tracks going, "Stop the train!" Now, here you got one lone bandit that's sitting out there in the desert, and there's 35 people riding on the stagecoach with guns, and this idiot says, "Stop the stagecoach!" Are you kidding me?
Well, like I said, this Jeff Cartwright, he said, "No way, you're not going to rob me again. You did it last week." So he just whipped them into gear, and they went right on past him.
I would say.
Unfortunately, young Jeff, by this time, the the train was coming, and he never did get to become a stagecoach driver. But, again, I know we're running out of time, but, the old shotgun guard, he was deadly with a gun. He knew the road, and he would watch if there was anything just out of alignment a little bit as far as dust or anything. He was ready with his gun. Mm-hmm. So,
well, that kid's name was Jeff Gordon, and he couldn't drive stagecoaches, so later he made a big name for himself in NASCAR.
That's right. He couldn't shoot straight. But, there's a lot of exciting stories about the Old West, and there's a guy named Horace Greeley. He was kind of a famous guy, and I'm just going to quickly tell this story. He was on the stage, and he wanted to get to Placerville there in California, and when he got on, he told the driver, he says, "Now you got to get going." He says, "I got to get up here, and I got to give a talk to some people, so I want you to kick it into gear." Well, the driver was just going along at his usual pace, and pretty soon old Greeley, he's saying, "Okay, you get it going, or I'm going to have you fired when we get there." So the driver, he says, "Okay." Greeley was the only passenger in the stagecoach. So the stagecoach driver thinks, okay, well, we'll get him there all right. So he stepped up the pace until they were speeding along at a rate that never before had been achieved by a stagecoach. And by this time, Mr. Greeley didn't care if he ever got to Placerville because it happened. The stage hit a chuck hole, and stage driver looked back. He heard a rip, and here was Mr. Greeley's head sticking up through the top of the stagecoach. And again, when they'd hit a bump, old Mr. Greeley's head would come popping up through the top of the stagecoach again. So by the time they got to Placerville, Mr. Greeley wasn't in too good a shape to give any kind of lecture.
Go north, young man. Go north, young man.
Yeah. So anyway, the stagecoach had a long run and useful life, and from about 1817 for almost 100 years. I mean, it helped settle the West. It kept a world that would have otherwise been cut off from the world to get mail, gold, and other supplies could be shipped, and the East and the West were linked. A passenger for $100 could get from St. Louis to San Francisco in about 25 days. And actually, the fact that so many of the old coaches survived attests to their quality of workmanship. And actually, a lot of these that were on television years ago that we used to watch, they were survivors of the past that had been repaired and worked over.
Really?
Yeah. And,
you know Ray Bagby?
Let's see.
You need to get to know Ray Bagby because he's building right now, I think, one of the Concord stages.
Oh, okay.
And what we ought to do is make an arrangement with him after he gets it built and get a team all hooked up and everything. We need to take you for a ride that you will never forget, Dr. History.
Well, I don't want to be like Mr. Greeley and have my head shoved up through the top of the stagecoach.
It'll probably go elsewhere.
That's what I'm thinking. That would be great to have that in the parade, though.
I'll tell you what, Ray knows all about stages. You know what we ought to do? Let's get him on here with you and I someday, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Stagecoaches, there's over there in, let's see, where is it? Deadwood.
Yeah.
Deadwood, South Dakota, last year. They have a museum there that's filled with all kinds of stagecoaches and wagons, and if anybody gets to Deadwood, that's probably more of a highlight than anything.
Yeah, now wait a minute. Real quick, I'm out of time, but where are you going to be sitting with your class reunion?
Southwest corner.
Southwest corner.
Over by the lion, over by where they sell the corn.
Over there where they have all the prisoners from the county jail.
We'll be sitting right above them or with them. We might have some of them in our class.
Could be. Listen, Dr. History, you did a great job. Really interesting, and I'll talk to Bagby about this and we'll get it set up.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, my friend. See you at the rodeo.
I'll see you. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Dr. History. Thanks for listening to Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley with our friend Lucky Bourne, 878-5802. You get a hold of them today. Holy buckets, I got a whole bunch of things I've got to tell you about real quick, including Quali's Electronics. Don't forget, at Quali's Electronics, they can help you with Dish or DirecTV. Don't listen when you hear the door knocking to the door-to-door salespeople that say, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we're associated with Quali's. No, they're not. They're telling you a big story. Quali's doesn't do any door-to-door sales. They invite you to come on into their location at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, or give them a call at 733-4910, and they'll discuss the options and find the best one for you, Dish or DirecTV, then help you save money. And they install it and provide all the service. Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Oh, and real quick, I also have to remind you, boy, I got to hurry here. Gina's going to be chomping on the bit. We've got a lot of sponsors that are helping promote the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo for this year, and they include Perkins Family Restaurant at the Best Western Inn at 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh, great breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the homemade pies, cookies, and shakes. You're going to love Perkins Family Restaurant. Along with Pickett Equipment Company, 976 East Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness, the great Pickett bean equipment like the Twin Master Edible Bean Combine and the One-Step Rod Cutter. Give Pickett Equipment Company a call, 678-0855, or go to their website, PickettEquipment.com. And Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley, offering irrigation system repair and service to Burley, Idaho, in the area. They manufacture wheel line elbows, and believe me, their specialists are ready to serve you. 678-3101, Magic Valley Irrigation. And last but not least, Rudder Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. Nice people. Stop in and see one of the Serta mattresses at Rudder Showcase. Oh, my goodness. They also make the perfect sleeper. You check it out, and don't forget the nice people at Rudder Showcase waiting to serve you during Fair Week at 2611 Overland in Burley. Really nice folks. And the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is in full effect and full swing right now. Everything's going on tonight, the big Aaron Tippin concert. If you haven't got your tickets, I think tickets are still available, and the gates open at 7:30, and the concert at 8 p.m. tonight. Going to be just a jam-up, great concert with a great country music entertainer, Aaron Tippin. Tomorrow night, they've got the team ranch sorting, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the great big professional rodeo. It's going to be outstanding. Enjoy your Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. We'll be back in just a few moments.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh my goodness, we're back already. And I tell you what we're going to do before we introduce our guest, a lovely lady that's on our program for this half hour. We're going to give you a MichaelRogersWeather.com weather update.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Tuesday, the 13th of August. Any change in the weather, in the same weather pattern we've had now for about the last 2 weeks. Another day of sunny and hot, possibly a slight chance of a thunderstorm. So see a few clouds. It's going to travel out today to a high of about 96. Going to get hotter tomorrow. Look for 99 for the high. The overnight low tonight will be right around 60. Enjoy the day and enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to have this lady back on my program again. She's very interesting, very informative, and she's quite an author, and I can't wait to read her new book. Diana West, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm fine, Dad. So great to be back with you.
You know, I got to tell you something. You're kind of sneaky in the way that you kind of pulled my interest into your new book, because here I'm reading the cheat sheets, and it says American Betrayal and Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. But there's a warning. Will shift, change, and upend your preconceived notions of American history. Boy, that warning just really got a hold of my mind and said I got to read more.
Well, hold on to your hats. It's going to be a bumpy ride. This book, and let me start by saying, Zeb, that I did not set out to write the book that I ended up writing because I discovered things in the course of my research that did the same thing to me. It changed my whole perception of our past. And here's how it happened. I actually set out to discuss and work through some of the problems I saw in our contemporary period, where we can amass all manner of facts about Islam and indeed get struck by Islam on 9/11, have the president come out and tell us Islam is the religion of peace. And for the next decade plus, I work as a weekly columnist, of course. The only facts that are able to be discussed publicly by our politicians and pundits and so on in, quote, polite society are facts that support this completely illogical proposition that Islam, of course, is not a religion of peace. We just have to look through the history of jihad and all of the people who have suffered in this strife in terms of resisting or being brought under the power of Islamic law and so on. To see, whatever it is, it's not a religion of peace. So this was sort of my starting point. What I was trying to uncover was, have we ever been so illogical before? Have we ever come to a problem, an existential problem, an ideological threat, and been unable to face up to it, and indeed been subject to all manner of ideological assaults? And of course, this took me back to a re-examination of our struggle with communism. And boy, was I surprised to see that there are so many striking parallels between, for example, the U.S. government whitewash of Islam after 9/11 and during World War II, the U.S. government whitewash of communism. And I was off to the races from that point forward. And the way things shift is once you take into consideration the fact, and now we know it's fact because we have the documents that came out of the Soviet Union after it fell, to confirm that you had scores of American traitors, hundreds. You had hundreds of American traitors in the United States government and other institutions actually working for the Kremlin. It was Russian interests first. working in our government, working in the halls of power, working in institutions from the 1930s forward, you have to start re-examining everything America did. That includes World War II history, that includes Cold War history, and what I found was once you accept this very shocking proposition that the Roosevelt White House was in fact penetrated by the Kremlin, in effect, by having so many people close to the reliefs of power who was actually working for the other side, you have to all of a sudden start realizing the influence they had on U.S. policymaking, U.S. war making, and then when you get to the post-war years, you start noticing a cover-up. And this becomes the way to look at the 20th century, not so much as a struggle between the free world and communism, which of course it was on one level, but also a struggle between people who are trying to hide the conspiracy, a communist conspiracy against our Constitution, and those who are trying to uncover it, who are trying to open it up, bring it into the sunshine. And this becomes a very different way to look at our past. All of a sudden, many of our leaders don't look so great, and all of a sudden you have to reappraise that period after World War II when the great red hunters in the Congress, including Senator Joe McCarthy, were trying to uncover this secret, dirty war, intelligence war against our country.
Wow! I mean,
wow!
You just really are something. I mean, holy cow! I gave you an introduction, and you took the ball and ran 10 times for a touchdown. That really has got me hooked.
I know it's a lot, and the thing that's kind of not frustrating, but kind of a trick for me when I talk about it is I spent years coming to this. I mean, I've been working on this book since 2009. And I'm staring at my stack of books. I have the craziest old out-of-print library now, books that I've amassed. It took me, I would say, about 18 months to be able to even start to formulate the thesis I just presented to you. So if your listeners and you are all sitting back in shock, I completely understand. I mean, I had a long time to get used to this notion, but anyway, ask me anything you want.
Well, basically, I can kind of make a summation here instead of a pinpoint question. Basically, we've been duped into thinking that some of the good guys in white hats really are the dastardly villains wearing the black mustache and the black hats that have represented us and tried to take us down the road of maybe negativism. Is that right?
That is right, and I think a good way to illustrate that is to ask folks to just sort of think about something, a reality in our time. Joe McCarthy is considered the demon of American history. I think he's considered the worst man who ever lived. However, if you go to the sort of the houses of the elites, you may often find, I see them in all those four-color shelter magazines. I actually have a little file of them. I try to cut them out when I see them. You will see in these homes of our elites portraits, the very famous Andy Warhol portrait of Chairman Mao, who killed about 40 million people, hanging in the living room. Okay? So think about that. You got Joe McCarthy burning in hell, and you have Mao over the fireplace on the mantelpiece. You get me? So I think there's a moral inversion here that we need to sort of readdress. Maybe Senator McCarthy is not the worst man who ever lived. Maybe he was trying to uncover this terrible assault on our country, a secret assault on our nation's character, maybe. And maybe Chairman Mao should not be considered a cool thing to have in your home.
You know, Diana, I'm just going to jump in, and this is rude of me to kind of take over a little time, but I want to give you a little story here, and I want your response. Okay. If you'll recall, in the last year, there was a letter that was sent by Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson, and he rebuked Michelle Bachmann, Minnesota Congresswoman, for her questioning why the Muslim Brotherhood appointees were in Hillary's part of the administration with the Secretary of State, and also why some had been appointed to the Obama cabinet. And he rebuked Michelle Obama for asking why the Muslim Brotherhood had been appointed to these positions. And Mike Simpson was on my program one morning, and he compared Michelle Bachmann and me as McCarthyists because we were questioning Muslim Brotherhood appointees. And this falls right into our own Idaho congressman using the name McCarthyist when really I was offended by that statement.
You are right, and that is the exact perfect parallel. In fact, I address that issue in the book because these lessons of the past do have practical applications for our daily lives today and the future of our country. Yes, that is what happens when you have a loaded term like McCarthyism. It stops the debate. It puts someone, maybe not you, Zeb, but a lot of people on the defensive. It certainly shut down any more questioning in the Congress after people looked at what happened to Michelle Bachmann. I mean, she was literally, well, not literally, she was figuratively crucified by people in her own party for simply raising very urgent, very grown-up, very responsible questions about our national security, about the influence, not just in the case of Hillary Clinton. She had questions going all over the government, various examples of other instances where people with foreign influence or people with connections to Muslim Brotherhood front groups and so on were getting into a policy-making chain. This is where things get very important for people to understand that espionage is not a matter of stealing secrets only. It is also, and a much more insidious, when these people get into positions of power or close to them, and they start to shade things. They start to influence policy, maybe even with a smile. Maybe it's bringing in a new person, a new consultant, keeping out someone else from the other side, giving their opinion. I mean, it's a very inexact science. Some people are better at it than others. Some people have more success than others. But this is what you have to start examining. You have to start examining influence. And this is where, when you go back to the communist conspiracy, and I'm not using that with quotation marks, there was one. I mean, essentially, Marx and Lenin declared a communist conspiracy against the world when the Soviet Union began. They wanted to overthrow the rest of the world for global communism. But when you go back to that communist conspiracy, it isn't always about stealing nuclear secrets, although it certainly is that. It is also about influencing things so that in the Soviet favor, in the favor of Moscow, in the favor of getting rid of borders, socializing medicine, making a huge federal government. I mean, you start to see where we're going here, right? I mean, where are we? Did we really win the Cold War if our college campuses may be described as outposts of Marx, and the Republicans in the House have the majority and they can't defund socialized medicine? So what did they do to us?
I've got so many questions for you in so little time. But anyway,
back another day.
But I want to ask you this. You talk about America being duped into accepting certain things and principles. And right now, am I wrong that here we have a grouping of people under the waving flag of Islam and Sharia law that absolutely would like to see jihad against America and our way of life? And I honestly think this administration, more so than any other previous administration, is basically sitting there going, oh, come on, accept them, embrace them, when at the same time, I think these people have made inroads that they can literally take over America and our value system.
Well, I think that's true, but I think it has been going on a very long time, even in terms of the advance of Islamic law and its Islamic ideology. I mean, you have to go back certainly to the Bush administration. These same kinds of policies were being enacted. The religion of peace, President Bush telling us Islam is a religion of peace, begins under President Bush right after 9/11. You go back even farther. I think one thing we need to return to is our collaborations with Saudi Arabia, going back to President Bush the father, going back to the Arab oil embargo under Nixon. I mean, this has been a long time coming. I think that the Obama administration is certainly stepping it up and amplifying it, and we're seeing the world tilt. But I think that there is a long pattern that needs to be reexamined and needs to be looked at again with an American interest, a national interest at heart, not a global one.
Diana, when you wrote this book and you sat down and you started putting all the facts and statistics and everything else together in story form, what do you hope is achieved when I close the cover of the book and I sit there and think about what I just read? What do you want me to take away from this book?
I want you to close the book and be raging mad that you've been lied to by your government, by educators so-called, by people who have been hiding the truth and killing the truth tellers. I mean, you talk about Michelle Bachmann. She is, at that time, last summer, when this was all going on, she was in this exact same category of the truth tellers who are smeared. And indeed, the book, while it's a story of the penetration and the infiltration and so on and subversion, the other story, the story we take inspiration from, I certainly do, it's the story of the truth tellers, because America has always had truth tellers. And these are the people that their names may not be familiar to readers. They certainly were not familiar to me for the most part. But these are the people with honor and integrity and a love of country who stood up to be counted, went to the mat, and history ran them over. And so what I hope happens is that people are mad, they feel empowered, and they feel inspired by the truth tellers to go forward and return this country to its constitutional roots.
Now, I'm going to inject this. I'm very concerned that in today's society, Diana, I don't know if we've got a naive or gullible or don't care attitude. Will people be concerned? Are people going to be concerned about the truth? And will there be truth in the future, or just they don't care?
Well, you know, of course that's a major problem you're outlining there, Deb, but I'll tell you what. Revolutions, movements, all manner of human events are generally spurred by small minorities. I mean, when you go back even to our revolution, I always hear the estimates are something like it was, 30% wanted to break off from England, 30% did not, and 30% didn't care. When you go back to the Russian Revolution, the Bolsheviks who took over and became the Soviet Union were the minority party in that revolutionary cadre that wanted to overturn the Tsar. So small groups can do things. Look what the Tea Party did in 2010. I think that a small, energized force in this country can do great things. But yes, they have to get engaged. They have to not be dispirited. I'm dispirited, but I'm staying engaged and trying to help others feel like there's still something worth being engaged for. But I think that in reality, small groups do make huge differences, and I think that's something we can all hold on to.
Let me ask you this. How are you, as the author of this book, American Betrayal, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character, how are you trying to promote and market the book so that people won't just go, oh, yeah, sure, that's a bunch of fiction? How are you trying to market this so that they'll sit down like me and be very inquisitive? And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait to read this book.
Well, thank you. Well, just to put it out there, I've got over 900 endnotes, because the claims I make in the book, the arguments and facts I bring to light, are going to be very shocking to readers. And so I want everything that I could possibly source to be sourced so that people can do their own work. I think this is something people are going to have to work through. It may take them a while to really sit with this book and understand it. I tried to write it in very thrilling terms because it also is kind of a spy thriller. But I understand there's a lot there to digest, and that's why the sourcing is there. I'm just talking about it. When I get in front of a crowd, people get very charged. A lot of people, it clicks with them. There are a lot of things I say that they kind of always thought or they heard about from their parents. So I'm not actually finding too much trouble to connect with people. I'm getting a lot of flack. I'm right now in the middle of kind of a war, frankly, of people trying to essentially destroy the book. There's a very strange debate I'm underway on. If people are interested, they can go to my website, dianawest.net, and catch up on that. But it's just a matter of talking and getting people to be interested in the book and talk about it themselves and judge it for themselves. I think that this is a conventional history of our times, of our past century. It is definitely a kind of revision. It is against what you've been taught. It's against what I was taught. But I think it begins to make sense when you sit with it and realize that the reason we don't understand it is because that whole intelligence war against us has always been kind of kept off to the side. It's never been integrated into our general sort of political narrative of, war and great men and so on that we all kind of get acquainted with, certainly in high school, if not after. So once you put the two together, and it should be put together because these were actors in that same history of ours, it begins to look different, and that's why the book is called American Betrayal. We, the people, have been betrayed by our leaders, and it is time that we learn that and do something about it.
Do you realize, and I'm sure you do, that you're sitting on an incendiary device right now that could absolutely blow up and change every high school history class? This is amazing.
I'm glad you see it that way, just in our brief conversation. I do feel that. I feel that people are ready for it, too. I do realize that it is an incendiary device because, frankly, and this may be just because I've been living with the information too long, I actually feel that there is the possibility of almost moral renaissance out of getting this right. Because I feel that when we've been lied to, when we learn to accept lies, when we learn to speak lies, we are not what we can be. We are not a true republic. I feel that does give people the key. It kind of, I feel like there's more work to be done, and I feel a lot of this work is going to be done by other people and how they sort of use this information, but I feel that there is a chance to go back to a more clear-cut, right-wrong, moral basis. That when we accept, for example, going back to what I said earlier, that maybe what Joseph McCarthy and the other investigators were doing and try to uncover a communist conspiracy was not the devil's work. Maybe it's not so great to be so ironic about the massacre of 40 million people by Chairman Mao and put him in the living room. Maybe when we get that moral inversion right, maybe we can be a better people and we can take care of our business again.
Absolutely. Wow, I got to get a copy of this book. Everybody, where can they find the book? Tell us that, Diana.
Well, you can find the book anywhere fine books are sold. Of course, that would be your local bookstore if you're lucky enough to have one, but also, of course, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other purveyors of books around the country.
Diana West, author of American Betrayal, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. It is a must-read, and I'm going to read it and then have her back on the program. Diana, God bless you for an excellent portrayal of what you've got in this book. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you, Zeb. God bless you, too.
All right. Talk to you very soon. Thank you very much. Wonderful lady right there, Diana West. Wow, that book, that's a must-read. American Betrayal, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. I've got to read that and have her back on the show. Oh my, hey, you know what's next week? I'm going to tell you. Next week, August 19th through the 24th, the Box Elder County Fair and Golden Spike Rodeo. I have been there for years and years and years, and I'm looking forward to going back. Blue Jeans and Country Dreams. Absolutely, and we're looking forward to all the fair activities. Nice people down there at Tremonton. And, of course, they're going to have team branding and a kids' calf scramble next Tuesday the 20th, and then the Bulls, Broncs, and Barrels Wednesday, August 21st. Then the great big Golden Spike PRCA rodeo comes along. Oh my goodness, they spared no time or effort. Let me tell you, they really put forth a good product down there. Brent Rose, the chairman, and the rest of the folks, really good folks. All of this and more at the Box Elder County Fair and Golden Spike Rodeo, August 19th through the 24th in Tremonton, Utah. Blue Jeans and Country Dreams. Wow, this has been a busy, busy day. And when I get off the air in a few minutes, I'm going to go get in my geezer chair and just close my eyes and go, whew, it's done for a while. Anyway, also tomorrow, let's take a look here real quick is what we've got scheduled for tomorrow on the program. We're going to have Doug Johnson, and then I think we've got a gentleman coming on talking about the fuel standards and fuel emissions and the government messing with our gas prices and everything. We're going to be talking about that, and also the Idaho Fish and Game Report. So that's coming up tomorrow on the show. Our friends, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with, of course, all the tires that you need for your safe driving. I'm talking all the tires you need for all your vehicles, cars, SUV, pickups, and, of course, your camp trailers, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. You need tires, they've got them at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And the best brake value promise, too. Professionally trained technicians, over 30 years experience serving you. When you put your foot on the brake and say, whoa, it's going to stop. Yes, it is. The very best. Front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries, it's all there for you at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy, the old Seahawk fan, on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I have been in touch with our Sheriff Jay Ewart about the possibility of a situation of martial law, and through the, during the time we listen to your program, you have numerous guests who believe that it's a possibility. And Jay, and I love Jay to death, no disrespect, but he thinks that we're overreacting and alarmists, and so I don't know what you think, but I think that maybe that attitude is a little bit something that may not be the best for the people of Cassia County.
I'll just jump in and say this. I think that when someone ascertains that a group of people or masses of people are overreacting and alarmist, I always go back to what history is showing us. They're showing us the whole card every day. I believe in being a realist, and I'm looking at things that are happening against the Constitution. I look at things that are happening against various aspects like gun control, Obamacare, everything else, our economy, and I have to be a realist, and I have to sit here and say my family and my property comes first, and my rights as a citizen of this great country of America. And if somebody else thinks that that is overreacting and being an alarmist, I guess I'm going to be that way, because right now I have lost my trust in government bureaucracy as far as doing what the Constitution says they should do.
Well, they disregard the Constitution, and so over and over and over again, your guests say that Obama is intentionally crashing this deal, and if things get hairy enough, there will be martial law. And this is where the sheriff comes in to protect the people of Cuyahoga County.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm like everybody else. Hopefully it never occurs. And like I said, no disrespect, but I don't know. This attitude is a little concerning to me. So we want Jay to come to the summit this weekend, but I don't know that he's going to show up. So maybe we could have some people call in or something.
All right. Well, listen, I certainly do appreciate your remarks, and we'll hopefully hear more back on that summit. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I appreciate it. God bless you, everybody, and we appreciate your calls this morning. We've had a lot of good people on the air this morning, and we certainly thank you for your time, your questions, etc. And we're going to be back here tomorrow at 8:06. Ride the horse again. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget, we tune in at 8:06 here till 11. The way things were, the way things ought to be.